Many people daydream about their retirement. But do you ever stop to think about how long that period of your life will last? Well, it's plausible that you could have 30 plus golden years. So will your dollars make it that long? Here to break it all down, Ohio's retirement coach Greg Taylor, president of Legacy Retirement Group. Good to see you, Greg.
It's good to be here on another Monday.
This is one of those things where I feel like it's kind of an eye-opening thing because people don't realize how long they'll be retired. Do you have a lot of people come in and just, they think, I'm planning for 10, 15 years, and then you're like, you might need to plan a little longer than that.
Absolutely. In fact, I had someone sit down recently who said, I just want to plan, Greg, for the next 10 years. He says, by then I'll be 75 and there's probably not much life left anyway. I said, come on, let's be a little more positive.
Yeah.
I said, and beyond that, what about your wife? So,
yeah, exactly. She'll still be here, hopefully. And that's one of the things we've talked about. Women outliving men.
Yes.
And that's still the case, so we've got a plan.
We do.
All right, Greg, first question then. How much money do I need to last 30 plus years in retirement?
Isn't that the
big
question?
Open-ended question.
That's a great question. And then my follow-up to that is, how much do you want to spend? Because really, in order to know how much money you need, you really have to take inventory of what you're going to need to generate for yourself. So you take inventory. I've got Social Security benefits, maybe a teacher's pension, STRS or PERS, something like that. I've got maybe a company or corporate pension coming in, and then anything else I want to do beyond that, I have to create for myself. So really, knowing how much you need is truly going to be based on what you want to spend.
Okay, Greg, then we will go into this question. How far in advance do I need to meet with a financial advisor to be able to craft a full retirement plan?
I recommend at least 5 years. We're in the middle of football season. We talk about that red zone all the time, 20 yards towards and in from the goal line. And you're getting close to the goal line when you're within 5 years. And so you need to make sure, and by the way, market cycles typically are 3 to 5 years. So you don't want to make a huge mistake just before reaching that goal line, so to speak. So be sure to see somebody and craft that plan at least 5 years out.
Okay, and that's enough time to make a change, to make a difference, right?
Well, yeah, it certainly could be.
Certainly could be. Okay, third question here. If I retire and begin receiving my pension benefits, can I still work?
Absolutely. And more people are doing that.
I could imagine, because they don't get maybe as much as they need, right? From
exactly. Or, excuse me, or what we see is they are over their job. I mean, totally over. Just not that it's a bad job, but, they want something new in their life. So they take their pension, they retire, and then they don't have to really maybe work as many hours or have as stressful of a job. And so now that just complements what they're doing with their pension. And that also allows them to hold off on Social Security, where they're going to get that 8% bump every single year that they hold off.
Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. The fourth question then, what is the ideal age to purchase an annuity?
Well, first of all, you have to wonder, do you need an annuity? Annuity isn't for everybody. It's simply a tool, and that tool can be used. It's a great tool for generating lifetime income that you cannot outlive, and if you're married, you and your spouse cannot outlive. So if you are considering an annuity, you want to be sure what the fees are in those annuities. You want to know if you're taking market risk, such as a variable annuity, which tend to have a lot of risk and high fees. Then you want to make sure that it's a highly rated insurance carrier. So don't just assume that you need an annuity. Make sure that you have a plan for anything you purchase, by the way. You shouldn't just go buying things. Someone shouldn't be selling you something. There should be an absolute plan for everything it is that you're doing.
Okay, so you need to also find the financial advisor that works for you in that way, right? And does what's best for you. You
want a fiduciary. You want someone that has a legal obligation to do what's in your best interest, not someone that might perhaps have their own best interest at heart.
Okay, and Greg, if you ever have any questions for him, you can always email questions@ohiosretirementcoach.com. It is on the screen, and he would be more than willing to answer your questions right here next Monday. So send those emails in,
yes.
Right? All right, well, another big question for everyone out there. Are you making choices right now that could wind up destroying your retirement? Greg sticks around to look at the top 5 ways people are sabotaging themselves without even knowing it.